release Left 4 Dead 3.
That's my official instructions.
As I've said before, we are long overdue for Left 4 Dead 3, and as you've all made it readily apparent, you fully expect a release in the near future. But with the endless cash cow that is Steam, will Valve ever need, or for that matter want to make a game again? Who the hell knows? But one thing we do know is we have 2 Left 4 Dead games we still love and cherish. So what better way to cherish them than to utterly argue over which one is better? Because let's face it, it's the internet. It just wouldn't be fun without an arguing comparison between the first game and the sequel that came 1 year after. Also, we're including Xbox into this consideration, so PC elitists, do not complain and say Steam Workshop. We get it, it's there, but not for Xbox. And now it's versus time! Left 4 Dead 1 versus Left 4 Dead 2. Game with the most points wins!
Disclaimer, these are my opinions and I'm not imposing them on you. Like I always say, take everything with a grain of salt or be salty. That and I will not be taking into consideration the ports of Left 4 Dead 1 maps into Left 4 Dead 2. We will be debating the games as they were at launch and any subsequent updates to the game that followed weeks after.
Now let's get to complaining, comparing.
Damn it, I'm down!
Category 1, Atmosphere. I remember first turning on Left 4 Dead 1 at my friend's house and how much hype I had before killing my first infected. Everything about number 1 was just creepy and scary. Every sound you heard brought chills down your spine. Seeing a witch or tank around the corner brought dread. All the campaigns in Left 4 Dead 1 were set at night, so it added to the creepy lore. Not only that, but just about everything about the game's aesthetic and themes were just more horror-driven. Even the music, font, and menus and themes were a lot darker, and then everything went south, literally. Left 4 Dead 2 became a more competitive, and the ideas of the new Special Infected brought less fear, although thinking of seeing a spitter in real life would still freak me the hell out. The dramatic shift to having more campaigns set in a daytime setting really took from the horror aspect away and just made it feel like another first-person shooter. Not saying because a horror game has portions set at daytime can't have an aspect of fear, but it's definitely harder to capture someone in that same realm. And let's not forget about the second group of survivors rarely treating any situation seriously, making the second game more comical and meme-worthy instead of scary. It's for these reasons that I give Left 4 Dead 1 the first point. Category 2, The Survivors. Group 1 was comprised of a college-age gamer girl, a black young businessman, a recovering veteran, and a douchebag of a biker. The dynamic between these 4 really had good character interactions and had a really genuine feel to their relationships. That being said, we are introduced to the second 4-pack of zombie poppers, a high school coach with a love for food, a douchier Charlie Sheen, the redneck who can't forget the love of his life, Keith,
I'll tell you about the time Keith and I made fireworks.
Keith tried camping
I didn't know
out
shit
on top
about
of a building
chemistry, but
once.
Keith
He
figured
was shooting
gasoline
flames,
burned
burning
a shack
too
once.
busy, tear
30-degree
gassing
burns on
everything.
95%
And I
of
know
those
his body
people
screamed
here.
for
Hell,
the
people in the
house.
next city over will
Every
call to
single
complain
time
about
he
the
was
smell of
about
burning
jumping
skin.
right to the shack stage.
But he had no wood.
it's Keith, always forget the name, and Rochelle. Well, there's no need to explain her.
I don't think we're ever gonna get good news again.
Oh, zombie swamp people, I'm sorry. I gotta shoot you.
As far as individuals go, each character is unique in their own right, but in a game about cooperation and working as a team, so no one is left for dead, the original survivors come together more wholesomely as a team. The Left 4 Dead 2 survivors feel more separated in their personalities, and I honestly feel like Nick would betray the other 3 in a dime if he could.
Looks like there's been a change of plans.
Left 4 Dead 1 gains another point in this versus round. Category 3, the combat system. We all know that the second installment added many new weapons, infected, and elements to the Left 4 Dead universe to change how the flow of the game progresses. But is more always better? The biggest change from 1 to 2 was the addition of melee weapons. Now, how game-changing can the simple swing of a blunt or sharp object be? Now, if you may remember from one of my previous videos, I brought up the fact that you can endlessly swing a melee weapon without any drawbacks. Yet shoves must have a cooldown rate, and God forbid a melee infected not die in one swing, despite half of them having to get in direct contact with the survivor. We were also introduced to a chainsaw and grenade launcher, which is my favorite thing to pick up in every round. The chainsaw being more of a hindrance than an asset in the wrong hands, while the same could be said for the grenade launcher with its capability of massive friendly fire damage. Left 4 Dead 1 was bare bones and basic, 5 weapons to pick up and 2 pistols draw as a count of having 2 hunters and 1 boomer gets rather old considering without a jockey or charger to properly separate someone from their 4-person party. Getting a critical team attack proved to be much more difficult. Back in the first game, there was a fair balance between the infected and the survivors, but the second edition tipped the scale to give the survivors a better advantage. The infected changed, but so did the people trying to combat them. The first game appealed more to arcade players who don't want a lot of glitz and glam and just want a straightforward experience. The second gives more appeal to the online multiplayer experience. The introduction of new AI director, weapons, and special infected gave a healthy breadth to the game and opened up a wider audience. Left 4 Dead 2 finally attains a point in this round. Category 4, Variety. Left 4 Dead 1 started off with just campaign and versus, 2 core features in the franchise, but to those who wanted more bang for their buck, they were shorted until the survival patch was included a few months down the road. Left 4 Dead 2 upped the ante and added survival at launch, alongside the new scavenge mode, realism mode for the die-hard, try-hard fans out there, team versus for the competitive scene, and even though this is part of the passing DLC, mutations. You know me, I love my tank mode. The best add-on Left 4 Dead has ever released. Besides playable game modes, the inclusion of uncommon infected to each campaign gave some variety to each campaign outside of its aesthetics, and gave the survivors a different way of taking on each chapter, with fire-resistant hazmat zombies and pipe bomb deaf construction workers. And let's not forget the crescendo events, which actually, instead of camping, forced you to get to the next point. Overall enjoyment. So it's a neck-and-neck battle for supremacy of the dead, and it all comes down to this last category. While it comes down to minor details like seeing your legs, ragdoll physics, and so on, what really makes a game more superior than another is simply based on one fact. Is it enjoyable? And after years of playing both, I have come to the conclusion that longevity and replayability are the most redeeming qualities in a game. I personally have sunk more hours into Left 4 Dead 2, but Left 4 Dead was the game that ultimately got me back into gaming back in 2008. I have high regard for the first installment, but the second one rose the bar and added so much that kept me playing 7 years later. I personally have to give the point to Left 4 Dead 2, making it the big winner today. But honestly, I'll leave it up to you based on this. Are you looking for a more horror-themed and survivalistic game? Left 4 Dead 1's right up your alley. Left 4 Dead 2 appeals to me in a competitive but overall fun aspect that has me and my group coming back for more continuously. I hope to see another installment in the future. Left 4 Dead 3 is always in my mind, so let's keep our fingers crossed. Until then, I personally have to put Left 4 Dead 2 as the dominant game. But hey, to prevent any complaints, it's all up to you. Which is better, am I right? What should we debate in the next video? Should we do one where we handpick which actors would do the best at portraying the Left 4 Dead survivors if they ever had a Hollywood film on the silver screen? Or maybe some more Left 4 Dead speedrun death racing? You know the drill. Give me some comments below with your suggestions. Maybe I was off about why 2 was better than 1. You know how to file your complaints. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. And until next time, stay wow, everybody!